Oh my God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was.
You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at.
CJ, it's beautiful up here. You're gonna love it, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I miss the beach. You should come back to Baywatch.
Anything can happen at sea. It's a big ocean.
I'll take good care of you.
Yeah, it's pretty dead everywhere. No surfers, no swimmers, no joggers.
Just a lunatic looking for victims.
Numi, we're not policemen. We're just an extra set of eyes on the beach.
Where you going?
To write another police report titled Lifeguard to the Rescue.
There you go. I like the sound of that.
Crawling through sewers, jumping off of piers into disgusting polluted sludge. You guys just can't get enough of the wet stuff, can you?
The water is coming. Water is coming. Water is coming. Water is coming. Oh, Bill. Bill.
Man, dude, it reeks in here, dude. It smells like BO.
What are you saying? I go.
It smells not so good, dude.
uh,
Have you not showered like all week again?
I'm telling you. I keep telling you
All
about
right.
this water thing, Bill.
Dude,
I'm
all
not
right,
getting around the water.
Yeah, cause it really smells. I'm like, I don't.
I'm not bathing.
Have you been in here just like jamming all day? Were you working out in the yard again? Cause it smells worse than last time, dude.
Yeah, I'm living my life like usual. I'm just not rinsing myself.
Again with the
or
bathing,
watering.
no showers either because of the puddle.
I
the
steer-
puddle on
Yeah.
the ground is too much.
Yeah, I mean
Dude, you
that's a
can't even
lot of water collected together. It's like a gang of water. It could jump me.
So
I steer clear from.
are you going?
Water.
Are you just doing like landscape? Are you doing any subbing? Are you subbing?
I
anymore?
haven't been really working that much at all, but I have been researching quite a bit of stuff. I have my where is it?
Well,
I've been
Can you at least like maybe? I'm just so overwhelmed by your smell, dude. You know, I'm not usually like that, but
I'm not sure what
can
to
you just
want
at
me
least
to.
like wipe down your pits with some rubbing alcohol? That's like hardly water.
I guess I
that
could
will
do
clean
that.
you a little.
That's what I've been drinking. So I got it. I've got it. I could totally use
You've been
it.
drinking only rubbing alcohol.
Drinking-
Well, now I know you're joking because you'd be dead then. But
And
okay,
smoking
I'm
it.
blind.
It's that bong that
What,
is full
there's
of
not.
it.
That's not water in there.
That's rubbing alcohol.
All right. Well, don't clean yourself with that.
Okay. Well, let me get started, man. I want to tell you about some research I've been doing.
Okay.
A website called H2O Chan.
Is this
H2O
a
Chan.
Baywatch like fan site.
It's like a message board website, and it's water related, you know. So it's like hear this: water is an inorganic and transparent, tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless chemical substance, which is the main constituent of Earth's hydrosphere and the fluids of all known living organisms. So just take a moment to let that sink in. Sink. See, I can't even see. Even our language is dominated by water-related terminology, Bill. But the thing about it, it's inorganic. It's not organic, Bill. Get this thing out of health food stores.
Wait,
You know, it's not organic. It's corrupting the children.
Wait, how is water not organic?
It's an inorganic, transparent, tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless chemical substance. Look it up, Bill. That's all I'm saying. And now listen to me. I'm saying this thing that's inorganic and responsible for all of life, and it covers the whole planet. It's like an alien. This sounds like something that why is this lifeless thing so necessary for my life? And like, look, it gets us early. It's corrupting the children, Bill. If your baby, and I quote, is around
Okay.
6 months old, offer them only small amounts of cooled boiled tap water.
Wait, who says that?
Only small amounts. Don't replace their breast milk. Breast milk or breast formula should still be their main drink until they're about 1 year.
So that's what you need to start drinking.
Yes, but they're
Go with
telling
the breast
you
milk, not
about
alcohol.
They're telling you about give them a little water. Start to introduce a young 6 months. Give them little bits of water, Bill. We're not natural to do, and you know who's telling us this? You know who's telling us to get a little bit of
Who?
water, this inorganic substance? The Australian Breastfeeding Association, National Health and Medical Research Council, NSW.
Okay, so a
World
bunch of
Health
scientists.
Organization.
So a bunch of scientists and medical
A
professionals.
bunch of people who are probably corrupted by water. I mean, okay, that's just the sources, Bill. Let me tell you. There's the same amount of water on Earth as there was when the Earth was formed.
Wait. But if they were corrupted by water at an early age because of and they're putting out this propaganda to corrupt, who was the first corruptors? Like, how did water start getting into us? Who started this propaganda for, to get us? This is ridiculous, Drew.
There
What the
is
fuck
the
is this?
there is the same amount of water on Earth as there was today, as there was when the Earth was formed, Bill.
Well, I'm not a scientist.
That answers your
but
question.
That seems to make sense.
That answers your question. It's been here since the beginning, and it's responsible for all of these. It's organizing these so-called scientists.
But
these
if man was never evolved to naturally, need water, and we just got tricked by it, when did it start tricking us?
have you ever seen that? There's a little documentary called 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it is a documentary because the director documented us going to the moon. So, what I'm saying is, in that movie, you see an alien technology interacting with humans, and then that technology is responsible for evolution. I'm saying that's water, Bill.
Okay.
That's water.
I guess that works if you are crazy and don't have anything better, and it seems like you don't, but I still not going to buy it, Drew. Still not buying it.
I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to the computer. I can pull up the research for you right now. Hang on.
Okay, so I'm confused. Where did you get this? This is on this conspiracy website?
No, this is H2O Chan.
That sounds like a conspiracy website.
It's a message board
This
for
is just all part of your
like-minded
stupid
researchers.
bit. Okay, this bit is getting so fucking annoying at this point because, like, you're not showering to keep it going. I thought you did research about, like, the topic that you wanted to talk about for the show. You were the one that wanted to do this show. Like, and you were supposed to do research on Baywatch, and then you were going to talk, and I was going to just watch the show and talk to you about whatever you wanted to talk about. But now you're just talking about this stupid conspiracy theory.
I got the
that is just a
research.
dumb bit that you are so hung up on.
If you're not ready for it, it's okay, but I got the research. I haven't been going to work anyway, so I can do the Baywatch.
Okay,
shit,
all right.
you know.
Well, did you do any Baywatch?
Yeah,
Did
I
this
got-
connect to Baywatch at all?
That's like my new job, basically, is researching Baywatch because it's like the thing I don't really want to do, but
water conspiracies apparently.
no, that's my passion.
Yeah. Okay, I guess. All right, Andy Kaufman.
We'll see.
This is all a
let's wait and
bit,
see.
and eventually you're gonna crack, Drew. I don't know. Is this gonna? I mean, I don't know. I just want to watch Baywatch, dude, and this is a tired bit now, and I don't know if I should be worried about you because you're a crazy water conspiracy theorist, or because you just won't let this bit die.
It's all right. Let's talk about Baywatch.
All right. So this week's episode,
Cretin of the Shallows.
I think so.
Yeah. Cretin of the Shallows.
It was a murder mystery. Another murder mystery. It's our second murder mystery.
You want to do you want my log line?
Give it.
I mean, you're the one telling me I got a concern about Baywatch, Bill.
All right. Well, let's prove you watched the episode, Drew.
I
Give
think
it to
I
me.
watched it. What did I get off the internet? It says
So you
Cretin
just-
of the Shallows. I didn't even do my day of, Bill. Cretin of the Shallows, December 1st, 1989. Day without art. See, I do my work. That was the day without art, Bill.
Oh.
Where artists demonstrate against AIDS. And that's why Baywatch was the only show airing that day, because it kept with the theme of there not being any actual art present on that day. Because artists were refusing art that day to demonstrate against
So the
AIDS.
fact that Baywatch aired it did not. It went along with that just
Right according
perfectly.
to plan, yeah. We continue to have more Margaret Thatcher bullshit. We have more Daddy Bush bullshit.
Okay.
You know, the general neoliberal party and that Pope. Oh, the Pope in this day met with Gorbachev at the Vatican, you know? It's kind of notable.
Okay, yeah, that is, I guess.
Yeah, they don't believe in God, and then they met a religious figure. I don't know.
Was it fruitful?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't read it past that it happened. And
Okay.
Carl Weathers Marx, though, he said, Christ is the intermediary onto whom man unburdens all his divinity and all his religious bonds. So then the state is the mediator unto which he transfers all his godlessness, all his human liberty. Let that sink in. God, there it is again.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just saying Christ was in heaven. Here's what happened, Bill. Christ was in heaven, and he was, of course, hoping that maybe this meeting would bring to the planet, you know, a little bit closer to his sort of universal communism. I mean, Christianity that he had envisioned for society. But then Gorbachev just made a Pizza Hut commercial, actually. So,
Really?
yeah, like the same leader of the nation that doesn't believe
Of the USSR?
in God also made a Pizza Hut commercial. Yeah, you can look that up too. I do research on not just
That's kind of
Waterville.
interesting.
Here's one for you, Bill, because you were talking about that famous team of dodgeball players. You're the Dodgers that you went to their game. It's like
Yes, I did.
dodgeball. Mark Langston on that day when this episode aired, he signs a record $3.2 million contract for the Angels.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Mark Langston.
I guess he died and went to heaven. I don't know what that means. My log line is one of the demons from the film The Exorcist murders a bunch of folks so that a dirty senator can open a hotel. And Craig proves he's better than the cops by exposing all that corruption and murder. Shawnee thinks she has an admirer, but she's actually just part of an elaborate teenager's bet. And Eddie trips on dentist drugs, making him hallucinate and think that he fucked Gina. Gina's
Yeah.
Craig's wife.
Now, can you say your first one again?
Oh, the first sentence?
Yeah, the first
One
like,
of the demons from the film The Exorcist murders a bunch of folks so that a dirty senator can open a hotel.
So that a dirty senator can open a hotel. So that's what happened. I was confused by the ending. I couldn't even give you a log line.
Yeah.
I was.
You don't have to. You can tell me what you think about the episode, and then the dirty senator is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
So take it away, Bill.
Well, yeah. Well, that was where I got a little confused by. Was exactly. I mean, that was my very last note of the episode, and I did watch this like kind of late and kind of tired. But I felt like at the end, and I even tried to go back to see, like, didn't they summarize this? And I was like, you know what? And then it froze on me when I tried to rewind it, and then I got to like around like minute 38 or something.
I bet you describing the freezing is as riveting for our audience as the freeze was for you.
Well, it lasted a long time, and I gave up, and I turned it off, so I couldn't even rewatch it to figure it out.
What you're saying right before that moment, that is Mitch just said, they're not Mitch, Craig said at the very end of the episode, now Mitch, I know we're approaching the end of the episode, so let me recap. The senator killed all these people so that he could get the deed to the property to open this hotel and make a bunch of money and pretend that he was helping the homeless people. Anyway, go ahead.
That
was the recap.
So that's what I was trying to go back and catch, but it froze on
The
me.
recap that Craig gave Mitch in the car right before the episode ended so that the audience is not confused.
Yeah, see, I missed the recap. I felt like I missed it, and I was trying to go back, and I couldn't. So that's
Yeah.
why I need it from you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, because my last note is, wait a minute, was the senator a bad guy? So he was a bad guy. So he was working in cahoots with the monster guy?
And you've been drinking water, and I have not. And look who our preparedness levels.
Well,
Continue.
I don't know. Maybe the water didn't want me. Maybe the water is pro-senator.
I bet. I'm going to tell you.
Probably. So he didn't want me to know that the senator was actually behind him. Yeah. So, okay, now I remember. Now it makes sense because the bad guy was the son of the woman who owned the property that he wanted to build a hotel on. So he was fine with her selling the property so that when or her being killed so that he could then inherit it and then sell it to him. And then why did he then kill other people? Because wasn't the murderer the son of the woman? This is where I had some
It's
real
just
issues
wacky.
with some of the
It's just like
motives.
It's just spooky.
What?
It's just spooky.
Well, like I don't understand.
What do you got? What do you got?
Because
Give me what you got.
didn't he first? Don't they establish that like the first thing he did to like set this all in motion, this murderer, the first murder was like 4 years ago or something?
That's the woman who owned the property.
Yeah, so his mom.
Yeah. And she wouldn't give up the deed to the senator.
Yeah.
I
So
guess the son's in on it. I don't know.
That's what I mean. It was like, so now you don't even know, really. That's what I mean. It was not well fucking established. And I didn't understand why after 4 years of careful, patient planning and plotting and keeping everything cool and doing everything sneakily. And then all of a sudden at the end, he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to start murdering all these people. Now I'm going to have the cops looking out for me all over. And then I'm going to go to the big opening ball of the thing and try to shoot someone there when there's going to be massive amounts of cops. It's just, why? Why this change in your way of doing things? I don't know. And it didn't seem to be a very good, because the senator was there. Who, if he was working for the senator, he could have killed the senator. Because I just don't, none of that made, and it didn't make sense from the very beginning. From the very beginning, you see this guy, he's running away from the shoreline of the beach, and that's when Eddie sees him when he's doing his patrol, and then he gets out of the car and starts looking around. He looks back at the ocean, and then he looks back and he sees the guy's running back towards the beach now, and then punches him in the face, punches Eddie in the face.
Well, Eddie should not have been doing that patrol with a sore tooth anyway.
Well, why did the guy run back towards the person he was trying to run away from?
I don't know, Bill.
It just, his motivations from the very beginning of the show made no freaking sense.
It's dumb.
Yeah, it was.
But it's a good episode. It's a good episode.
I did not think it was a good episode. I thought the other.
Okay, what else doesn't work?
The other murder mystery episode was better. I'll say that much.
Go listen to that episode.
Yeah,
We're done. Goodbye.
But the the thing that worked the best, I think, the storyline was the one with Eddie.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was a little comedic relief. It was believable. I kind of liked that one.
Yeah.
And we got 2 montages.
I was going to say 2 montages this episode.
We're back to montage.
I know. And the first one was like, it was like, someone put a spell on me. And it was all about like the person watching. No, the first one was like, she's a showstopper.
Yeah,
a
showstopper.
mouth dropper.
Yep.
I love her and it feels so good. And it was about
Yep.
Shawnee.
And it was just a bunch of shots of Shawnee looking sexy, walking up and down the beach in slow motion.
And the other one was Gina looking sexy, and it was like, someone put a spell on me.
Yeah, and Eddie just kept seeing all these other Gina, and it turned out to be all these other women.
And it's so weird, you know how we always say they're on the nose? Like, I don't know if you listen to the lyrics, but it was like so weird. It's like, someone put a spell on me. The dentist gave me some drugs, and now I'm seeing this lady.
Did it really say those lines?
Look it up, dude.
Are you kidding me?
It's so explicit.
That is insane. Because Showstopper I thought was really funny because they literally stopped the show to then play this song and have this montage. So yeah, it's like Bob's Burgers where they have a custom written song at the end of every episode that's about the show.
Someone probably said like the last episode didn't have any of that.
Yeah, maybe it was. They got like a lot of pushback. So like we better get 2 montages. Yeah. So
I was
splice
glad.
them in. Yeah, I was really happy to see the montage. I thought, oh, we're missing that. We're not gonna. I thought that would last pretty much at least through the first season. So that was nice. The other what was the other plot line again though? Oh, yeah, that's what I think I was a little confused about, because you said in your opening that, like, Shawnee thought that she had an admirer, but really the guy was just, like, the whole time trying to win that bet. Now, I didn't take it like that.
Oh.
I took it more like, no, he definitely was creeping on her and trying to do all that and, like, admiring her, like, in that way. Yeah. And then he just then also had, like, he formed a bet with those guys. Like, I bet you I'll get her to kiss me, and then...
Well, because you know how I don't have any job anymore, and I do an extreme amount of research for this show. Give us money, money, really.
Yeah.
So I can buy rubbing alcohol. There's a deleted scene that I saw where they show you that guy is like exclusively, almost like aggressively gay, like almost like doesn't believe in heterosexual, like that heterosexuals should exist, and he's a gay man. There's like a different scene. The kid,
that little kid,
yeah. And he's like, I'm so gay. Like, I even hate women. Like, I'm just that. Yeah. And then that's like a deleted scene they didn't decide to include it. Narratively, it didn't necessarily fit. And so, like,
well, I did.
That's how I know that the whole time he was just doing it for the money.
Now, that kind of does maybe fit his character more than they realized then. Because, like, I did say, I think my notes here were like something to the effect like that. Yeah, this seems so disrespectful to Shawnee at this point. Like,
Yeah.
he just has no... So the fact that he hates women and has no respect for them,
Yeah.
like, the way that he was kind of engaging with Shawnee kind
Yeah.
of demonstrated that.
And thank God they deleted that scene because at that time, like, the gay community, like, certainly did not need, like, on the day when, like, artists are withholding art
Right.
to protest, like,
Yeah.
this fucking terrible fucking AIDS virus.
Maybe that's why it was cut.
It might have been why it was cut that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense because that's why I was like, this guy's like a... Nowadays, he would be like an incel shooter, mass shooter.
I know.
Or grow up to be that. I don't know, because... But I didn't take it that, like...
We live in a
that
world
was-
where we laugh. Someone says incel mass shooter, and then we laugh.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a sad part of our world. You know what? There was a shooting like 3 days ago down the street from my house
Really?
at the park.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. Anyway, go back to Baywatch. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I just did not find it to be... I thought that the best storyline was the Eddie one because, like, it was kind of funny. You know, he had the dream, she didn't know, but that worked a little bit. It made sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and Craig just, like, solving the murder somehow, like, I mean, that just took me out of, like, you know, took me out of the show because it's, like, so unrealistic. Like, oh, I found out that she worked, she's a member of this county nursing association. Let me call them, and they'll give me all this information just randomly. I'm nobody calling, asking for private information from one of their association members, and he just gets all this information that helps him solve the case.
Yeah. Craig
okay.
is like a guy whose day job is like a trash collector, and who also he tempts as like a tennis coach. But then, like, when you go to his house, like, it's super messy. And, like, every time he shows up to tennis coach, like, his rackets have holes in them, you know? But then he paints the most beautiful pictures. He's, like, randomly, like, paints just because he wants to show up this group of artists and say, like, I can paint better than you. Long and short of it is
metaphor.
is that, like, yeah, he's a lifeguard, he's a lawyer, and, like, he kind of, like, half-asses both those things. But
Right.
then he's always trying to be like, I'm a way better like, investigator and a
Yeah,
cop than
You're
you
right.
are.
Now I see the connection. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, you're right. He's like, yeah. he's like his professions are technically like a tennis coach and a trash collector, but he sucks at both of those. But he saw somebody painting, and he was like, I can do that better.
And then just to spite them, he was like
took all these
Van
painting
Gogh.
classes.
He was like
and, yeah.
he was just we don't. It's not like Craig took investigative classes of any kind.
Right.
He just somehow naturally is like this great investigator who's
that-
one-upping the police all the time.
I guess that's what threw me out of it, because not like he had any clever things.
Yeah.
It's just like that wouldn't have worked. Like
Craig is just kind of
wouldn't-
annoying.
They would have, yeah, exactly. And then he was like, the senator was a bad guy, because I always thought, oh, maybe the senator wasn't a bad. Because I thought that guy who broke into the party at the opening of the hotel that the senator was trying to do,
I'm gonna tell you all
wasn't
about
working for the senator. Because why would he do that if he's working for the senator?
neoliberalism.
And that's the theme.
No, say your episode stuff if there's more.
No, that's it.
I'm sure you're gonna wanna
That's
talk
why I
about-
was so
yeah.
confused, because I was like, "What the fuck?" I didn't get it.
Well, it's confusing and it's not your fault, Bill, and it's neoliberalism's fault. Okay.
Like most things since the 90s.
Right. So I'm gonna go into it. I've done my research on this, or do you want me to read this, or do you want me to read the manifesto, the H2O manifesto?
If the H2O manifesto is some dumb conspiracy theory / tired bit of yours, I'd say read the neoliberal thing.
He's not ready yet, so we'll spoon feed him with the neoliberal thing. Here we go. The theme of that episode, it's actually woke capitalism. And okay, there was this moment in the episode where like Craig had been volunteering for like this the person that was opposing the senator, and at the very beginning, like Mitch is like, "Why so sore? Why so sore like that? I know you lost, but like that guy, you know, he won. Why, you know, just politics." And then he's like, "Because that guy pretends to be for the homeless, you know?"
Yeah, I
and Mitch is
remember
like, "But he said that he's going to help the homeless." And he turned to like Thorpe and he's like, he's like, "I'm here to help the homeless." And then the evil senator turns to Thorpe and he's like, "Thanks for cleaning up the beach." And I'm like, "What does
Yes.
that mean?" Like Like what? Like so? There's no homeless on the like what? I don't know. Are they sweeping them? Are they
also
sweeping
took
them?
I took note of that too. Like, what does this mean? Like, I'm trying to like help the homeless and because the senator said like at first he made it seem like the beaches and our public places need to be safe and accessible and a place where even the homeless people can enjoy.
Right.
But then he said he like turns to the guy and said thanks for cleaning up the beach, kind of implying like you got all the homeless the fuck out of there,
Right?
Because I'm opening up my hotel.
I think that's exactly right. I think it implies that this senator was kind of a dick and he's just cleaning up like houseless folks.
Let me tell you one thing. I'm going to pause it because this is one time when I was in San Diego, when I lived in San Diego for a very brief time, I was like at somewhere like walking in downtown San Diego, and there was this white van that looked like your stereotypical, like abductor van, like a bad guy kidnapper van.
Or someone who just
without
lost
any
their
windows.
pet. Maybe just someone who lost their cute dog.
Yeah, it didn't look like that.
You've obviously never encountered those vans all the time in your childhood like I have and had wonderful experiences within them. Didn't never find any pets.
Oh, I see. But was pet a lot in some inappropriate places. Okay. So no, but this I guess this is one of those vans, but instead on the side where where's all the blacked out windows or the whited out windows, it said like homeless like San Diego like police department homeless unit. And it literally seemed like it was just a van, a big white van that just went around and picked up homeless people and moved them somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did.
Yeah. And then that's and that's what I think happened.
It seems like that's what they did in Baywatch. They just picked up the homeless and got them all out for the opening of the hotel.
Like that's what the senator was like thanks for cleaning them up. Like you lifeguards helped like just wipe them off,
Yeah. You bathed them. Thanks for showering all those homeless for us.
Let's not talk about showering. So anyway, like I said, I think he swept them from the beach, Bill. I think maybe he had their belongings confiscated, this evil senator, and maybe imposed large fines for having their belongings returned. Maybe he said, no persons shall obstruct any portion of any street or other public right-of-way open to use by motor vehicles, or any portion of a bike lane, bike path, or other public right-of-way open to use of bicycles by sitting, lying, or sleeping, by storing... Or maybe, I'm sorry, I was just reading section 41.18 of the current Los Angeles Municipal
I was going to say,
Code.
that sounds like the law we have now.
Yeah, that makes it illegal to sit, lie, or sleep upon any street, sidewalk, or other public right-of-way, and criminalizes unhoused folks, and destroys their belongings, as opposed to, say, building them housing.
But did you
which
know...
is something a city could do.
Did you know something useful, or that's like kind of in... good at least on the other side is that
Counter it.
I remember I was with my like cousin uncle once, and who's like a I don't know, somehow he's related, but he's like a uncle age.
Okay.
But he's a lawyer for the state of California up in Sacramento. And I was up there in Sacramento with him, and we were driving around, and we were driving through this like big homeless encampment under a bridge, and he said, he was telling me how like there was a ruling a few years back in the Ninth Circuit, which applies to California, that's the federal district California is in, that said that if there are basically said like regardless of what those ordinances are and stuff, you cannot arrest them for like loitering or being just there on the sidewalk sleeping, if there are not any available like homeless shelters or beds for them to go to.
Yeah.
If they don't have anywhere to go, you can't like.
That is cool if that happens, but all these people are getting swept.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's just that's a nice thing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that helps that many people.
Well, it's nice that at least the Ninth Circuit stepped in and said you can't just
Right.
make these illegal for these people to exist.
Right.
Which at least
It's nice to have a court that right now you can have some faith in.
Yeah, Ninth Circuit's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, it's almost like supremely good compared to some. But Bill, I'm sorry. That was a joke. I was just reading about how our law right now, like 3 decades later, is not any better than that evil senator, right?
Nope.
And so anyway, Senator Hastings, that was his name. He pretends to organize food for the poor, or like he shook hands maybe with like a houseless person one time. But he's really just a shill for the wealthy who want to criminalize folks and keep the beaches clean.
And rich contractors.
Yeah, and he also wants to profit off of looking like he's helping the homeless people. He wants to benefit from that, and that's why he's like, I've organized food banks.
He's virtue signaling.
He's virtue signaling, right? But what he wants to do too is build more. He wants to get this property and have a hotel and have like this place where people can come and generate profit off this property. You know, not like something like public housing, Bill. He wants to murder a bunch of people to build this hotel, this senator,
yeah, so
this
that
politician.
so that the investors in the hotel can make a good return.
Right. And then
important.
he's beholden
Very
to these
important.
investors like very few politicians are beholden to money. You know, in our day-to-day, we've gotten better. But anyway, so it's like it seems like it was like
I think there was a Supreme Court ruling, citizen something that like made it a lot better.
It said citizens are the things that should have rights.
Yeah, and no corporate money in politics, something like that was the
No,
case.
it was because it's kind of like a democracy thing. It's like the citizens unite. When the citizens are united, together as individuals with all of their rights that they deserve, like no corporation or anything can even be stronger.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
must because that was like the name of the case, so it must have been something like that. I'm sure that's what it said.
Yeah. Look it up. Like I'm saying, I do my research. But
Okay,
Bill-
yeah.
But let me continue here. So, build more seems to be the solution that we find, though, a lot. Like, as opposed, let me just kind of step back. It's like a lot of times we hear politicians, I imagine the senator, it's like, well, what we can do is build more housing. You know, that's a solution. And I feel like this senator would have done something like that. I wrote that I wonder what the opponent that Craig was working for was doing for the unhoused on the flip side, you know? We don't ever get into that, so forget about it. You know? Why
Yeah.
don't we get into that?
Right.
Because Baywatch and politicians and corporations want to signal that they care about all folks, especially those in need, but they don't actually want to do anything to change the environment that perpetuates suffering. You know what I mean?
And I will, yeah. So let me
Enter
bring
woke
up-
capitalism, our theme. Really.
Well, let me bring up because you mentioned how Craig, we don't get into like the candidate that he supported, the opposition candidate he supported, and how
He's
what
passionate
his
about
plans-
investigation, not politics.
Well, they establishes that he's a passionate campaign worker and volunteer on that. But you don't get to know what his solutions to the housing problems would be, or
Right.
And I bet you, because remember, this is why it seemed a little weird too that Craig was so much like this, and because I was like, I don't understand his motivation, just like I didn't understand Eddie's motivation about or how all of a sudden he now has this horrible pain tolerance when before he's a boxer, and Craig.
I forgot. I didn't realize we were talking about Baywatch again.
Yeah. And that didn't make any sense. Like, wait, a few episodes you established he was a boxer. Now he has a low tolerance for pain.
Right.
And then Craig, it's like a few episodes you established he was a corporate lawyer.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me that he was fighting fighting the system for the poor. I don't
It doesn't matter. We just
understand.
need to use these identities. Here's a
Well,
segue.
they have to make him the good guy.
We need
Or
to
good guys
use-
have to support the
We need to
working
use
class.
all these varied identities that this good guy is going to partake to make the audience feel good about this guy saving the day or being our hero, right?
Yeah, well, our hero has to express positive sentiments towards the homeless, but
Yeah.
does he really have
No.
to help them? Well, we don't want to know.
That's what I'm saying. Woke capitalism, our theme, Bill. And I want to say our theme is woke capitalism and its defense of neoliberal systems that create and perpetuate human suffering for profit. Human suffering, Bill. Human suffering for profit. Okay, so neoliberalism, I'm going to just give a little, let's define our terms. I'm going to do it in a dumb way. Neoliberalism equals free market capitalism will save us. And if we regulate markets, we will surely pay in hell. We're watching Baywatch in a great time for neoliberalism because Reagan, he just left office. Thatcher is reigning supreme in our great mother empire. So we're at the start of some things that would make life better for everyone into the future to the end.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to appeal to our hearts. We live in this fucked up world where all this bullshit's happening around us that we can all identify. And then they want to say, yes, we are virtue signaling to the fact that you can all identify that. We want to do something about it. Give us money. Then they get into office and don't. Because it's not about changing the status quo. It's just kind of about using what's going on to fundraise, to make money.
And that
to
was
profit.
very much a thing of the 90s. That was that end of history period. Is
Right.
that we're just going to have these small little tweaks to these market systems.
Right.
And we can find market solutions to every problem.
Exactly. Market solutions.
Yeah.
Yep.
To healthcare, to housing, to everything. We just need to find better market incentives.
And that is the issue that a lot of people will talk about today is that needing to find a market solution to something like healthcare or housing, things that are human rights, is somewhat inhumane. you could say. You know, like these are things that don't need like a profitable market solution. They're just things that should be provided to people.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, the other day I was at my local Ralph's in Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Which is heavily like, very different than you go into the Ralph's in Beverly Hills by my work. Yeah. And, you've got a security guard there in Crenshaw all the time. They locked his shit up like after 10 o'clock, so there's only one exit. Yeah. They now have the whole aisle that you have to now check out separately that's locked up. You have to get in. They have a security guard at that aisle. Yeah. So it's like multiple security guards. And then the thing that I had to get was what are those Q-tips? Yeah. And it's like $1 thing of Q-tips is locked up behind something. And why is it? Because it's with the infant stuff. The infant shit. Right. And there's nothing really expensive in there. It's diapers, which is the most expensive thing.
We just don't want to help people raise their kids or have babies.
It's just insane that like people are desperate that they're stealing these $3-4 items for their babies, and our solution is like lock that shit up.
Yeah. We should make sure that also evil. That they are forced to have them, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's important because it would be murder otherwise.
Yeah. So back to this stuff that's not murder. I'm going to give some quotes of some stuff that I was researching that was just sort of investigating this woke capitalism, like the using of people in need or identities of minorities or people who have been oppressed by corporations or politicians for their own benefit.
Okay.
So we have like some quotes that might help us. This is from an article on Japilism. It's
Japanese capitalism?
Yeah. No, Japanese capitalism, yeah. It's from Jacobin. It's called Woke Capitalism Isn't Your Friend by Luke Savage. He has this quote, a real issue about
fellow podcaster, Luke Savage.
Exactly.
Check him out on Michael Inez.
There you go. A real issue about the commodification of social justice is the way everything from poverty to racial discrimination is supposed to have a market solution, like Bill said, even or especially when the companies themselves are directly complicit in the problem. Mm-hmm. So there's a way to make money. So my commentator is like, there's a way to make money off of all the suffering that's going on around us and act like we care, Yeah. But we don't care. We just want to make money.
And in reality, I'm causing this suffering, so I would have to change the way I'm doing stuff like on a structural level.
Right.
But fuck that. We're gonna stop. We're gonna have all paper straws now.
Exactly. So let's look back at California 3 decades after that Baywatch episode. Right. Here's an article from Jovanka Beckles, who actually just followed me on Twitter, and I'm like, maybe one day we'll have her actually on a Baywatch episode. She's she ran for like city council. Right now she's the AC Transit District Board of Directors. She's on that. She's on that.
Okay.
She's a member on that board in California. And she was a former city council member. She's a corporate-free politician, progressive. Anyway, here's what she said about the housing crisis. More private development isn't enough to solve California's massive housing crisis. We have to break with the for-profit model and build affordable social housing for all. Mm-hmm. Again, that's not something we hear from the folks in Baywatch or a lot of representatives today. She goes on, the fact is that we have a crisis because the housing market is not designed to meet the human need for shelter. Instead, the most housing is built and priced to maximize the profits of developers and corporate landlords, who then relentlessly push anyone too black, too brown, or too poor out of their homes in favor of more desirable residents, quote unquote, right? So the thinking goes, we just need to strip away zoning and community input rules, pile on developer incentives, and wait for prices to go down, and then communities of color can get revitalized, So it's like it sounds like what we said about neoliberalism before, where it's like, hey, just keep your hands off, don't regulate the market, let things just happen, and let the most profitable, let the status quo kind of keep doing its thing, and then it'll trickle down.
Which really is not that far different from the libertarian mindset, you know?
Right. Like and that's why I say it sounds pretty neo-libby, even libertarian. But, just relax the rules and regs, let the market work shit out, man. She was also running against a dude.
And it's this idea of like, we just need to incentivize these corporations not to, be so racist.
Right.
And if we can, but how would that work in practice? Like, no, they're going to just do whatever they can to, and if there are more white young professionals with more disposable income, there are black professionals with other things. Is the government going to give housing vouchers for those neighborhoods to African Americans?
And
They've tried doing shit like that, and
Yeah.
those developers and people, property landlords didn't like it.
Yeah.
They still didn't want to rent to them.
like corporations doing stuff or donating to like civil like rights whatever organizations or like social justice causes and stuff is a thing, but it's like the question always is like if also like so much of their profit plan, so much of their profit incentive like made all of this suffering in the first place, and now they're just kind of like it feels like philanthropy that isn't necessarily
Well, that's what I mean. Like
righteous or in good faith.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about the incentives that they're talking about to how you're going to incentivize these like developers and corporate landlords.
We live in a
like,
shitty world
to desegregate housing. Like, how are you going to do that? Like, they've tried that and it's failed in a lot of places, and they've had to do it with lawsuits, like in Yonkers,
right?
In
Well,
the 90s.
It's a big fight to fight against like people just being everyone just being able to live like it's just a crazy fight. It takes a lot of organizing.
Yeah.
And we're just doing a Baywatching podcast. But also we're talking about this shit. So, but I'm going to continue with what that person that I was just talking about. Let me read her name again because she's cool. Oh, Jovanka Beckles. She was running against this dude for a state assembly bill a few years back who was saying that like the solution to the housing crisis, which was supported by Senator Scott Wiener in a failed housing bill, SB 827, was essentially to just build more. We need to just like let developers build more housing so that people can come, and then it'll generate
That's what
profit
you hear here in LA
communities,
all the
right?
time. LA has too much red tape. That's
Right.
why we have a housing crisis.
Same theory for this person, and her opponent embraced it wholeheartedly. I think her opponent eventually won. But what her platform called for, which was different than her opponent, was this. And this is what I think we can both probably dig and agree on. Of course, rent control. And then also build several 100,000 units of high-quality, affordable social housing. She wanted to build social housing with high density near public transit. And if wealthy enclaves abuse their zoning and community input rules to block the development of social housing, she wanted to take state-level action to remove those roadblocks and build housing for all. She wanted to pay for this plan by reforming Proposition 13 to make corporations pay their fair share of property taxes and by raising taxes on corporate profits, millionaires, and housing speculators, including the imposition of a vacancy tax.
Yes, Prop 13 needs to go 100%. Yeah.
And then she ends her article, together we can solve the housing crisis, but only if we stand in solidarity with working people to challenge the power of the millionaires and billionaires who are profiting from our broken-ass fucking system. I said the ass fucking. She didn't. And then I want to go on, though, and talk about woke capitalism, because to try to thread what I was thinking about this is that, like, that evil senator was just signaling that he was helping the homeless when he really wasn't. And that's like, he wanted to use their identity as people who were suffering, to get votes, to profit, to run this hotel after murdering a bunch of people, So woke capitalism, we're in an environment where it seems like everyone from politicians to soda companies recognize that progressive politics are very popular, Bill. Everyone in society looks around and can see the house is burning, and the TV commercials and presidents are like, yep, it's getting hot, isn't it? Give us money so that we can fix the problem with some more matches and gasoline. I want to talk about how the status
Well, that's what one party's saying. The other party's saying, there's no problem here. What are you talking about?
Right. But also, give us money.
Yeah. To fight all those idiots who think there's a problem.
I want to talk about how the status quo pretends to be for social justice causes because it's profitable, and not because they want to help and that they actually, want to support social justice. But the way that they do it is actually damaging to those who need social justice.
I mean, I think the thing that always comes to mind when we talk about this, or at least that I do, is that infamous Pepsi commercial with the Black Lives protest and Kylie Jenner or something. Yeah.
Go look it up, because that's like what is referenced in the article that I got a bunch of stuff.
It pretty much is like the epitome of woke capitalism.
It's a research paper I found entitled "Woke?" Affect, Neoliberalism, Marginalized Identities, and Consumer Culture by Akane Kanai, who's a senior research fellow at Monash University, and Rosalind Gill, professor of social and cultural analysis at City University of London. Firstly, I like that what they did was they made a distinction because it's about woke capitalism. They made the distinction that they said they didn't want to wish quote, to undermine woke and its original anti-racist and activist sense, the term, its African-American etymology. Rather, they wanted to highlight its contested nature in the current conjecture or climate, in which it appears that advertising agencies dominated by highly paid white men have suddenly somehow reinvented themselves as advocates of feminism, anti-racism, and LGBTIQ rights. You know, they're suddenly conscious of all of these things. And bam, that's it. You know, the controllers and movers of capital, here's me again, the controllers and movers of capital, but also the folks in charge of the government who have so often served capital, now do it in a way that advocates for social justice, you know, while perpetuating injustice. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So you might say inclusion and visibility bill are important.
I mean, it's basically just that Mad Men realized that they could sell more of their evil if they packaged it as being not evil, you know?
Right. It's the advertising, like the evil of the advert. That's why we love Mad Men.
Yeah.
People do. I haven't really watched it, right?
Or that Bill Hicks bit about advertisers. If you're an advertiser, go die.
Right.
And no, this is not a bit that, don't be thinking in your head, oh, he's getting that anti-marketing dollar. That's a good dollar there.
Right.
No, that's not what's happening here. I actually want you to die. I'm not trying to corner a particular market.
Right.
You evil sons of bitches. Stop thinking about people like fucking statistics.
Right. And, you know, and that is true, Bill, and that's why we hate advertising, and that's part of the whole woke capitalism thing. But some people will say inclusion and visibility are important, Bill, and they totally are, right? And we see people of color in these commercials. We see the Pepsi commercials showing that people want to protest police violence, Bill. It's bringing visibility.
And should we really expect the corporation to do anything more than just provide some representation on their commercials?
I mean, I guess not. But again, to repeat it, we see woke capitalism is Pepsi using these issues and saying that Pepsi is the solution. You know, and not, you know what I mean? And
it's not just like, oh, we're just providing some representation. It's like, oh, no, we're also saying that, like, well, and that's the thing too.
That's what they say here about neoliberalism, Bill. Though it's an interventionist mode of governing, unevenly epitomizing and harnessing populations as living resources, creating new forms of transnational entitlement based on measures of human capital. So what I'm getting from it is, it's like, yeah, we recognize that a bunch of people in our world right now recognize that, like, there's police brutality, that there's a housing crisis, that LGBTQ people are oppressed, and that people of color are oppressed. So let's use that recognition to make a feel-good commercial, like using every person, a person from every oppressed demographic. And what that does is to sort of like gloss over the problems by representing these people in a commercial that uses the product as a solution.
And I think we saw that actually before we start blaming Pepsi. Let's go back to like I don't remember if it was like the 60s or 70s, but that famous Coke commercial.
Yeah.
Where everybody's singing.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Like it's like a famous commercial from like the 60s or 70s of Coke, and like everybody's singing all around the world. They're all singing this like song about Coke or something.
Yeah.
How they love Coke.
Yeah.
And it is like very much the same vibe, but way before, any of, woke capitalism was really a thing. But I mean, they were recognizing that same thread there.
Right, exactly. They were. And like, it's woke Coke saying like, yep, we care about like the problems of humanity and all of the people
60s
in the world.
and the political and the civil rights movement. And
and they're also the
Coke
same,
will help bring everyone together.
They're
just
also
like Pepsi.
the same organization who murdered union organizers.
Oh yes, in Latin America. Horrible paramilitary like murders, all funded by Pepsi. But hey, they're for the working class,
right? So woke capitalism,
because it feels good to be for the working class and drink Coke, and you'll be supporting the working class.
It tastes good. So and here's our sponsor, Coke. But woke capitalism does not merely reflect values. It's another quote.
We're talking the white Coke though.
Right, white Coke.
The powdery white, not for white
cocaine.
People. Yeah. Which is also for white people.
Cocaine capitalism. Woke capitalism does not merely reflect values. Rather, it produces a particular imaginary through the disarticulation and rearticulation of social struggle and emancipatory utopias. Importantly, woke capitalism does not emerge primarily to intervene in patterns of social oppression, but it puts to work certain affects, associations, and forms of subjectivity in reconstructing and reconfiguring social imaginaries in which neoliberalism still makes sense. So I know that that's a lot, and that's like a big paragraph, but it's like what it's saying is like, you are identifying that the society that we live in and the status quo is oppressing all of these people. And you're right.
And they're going to want to reflect that.
Like, we want to reflect that, but also the thing that's causing all of that problem is not a problem.
Yeah, reinterpret it now. And
Yeah,
that's
drink
what
Coke.
they say. Recapitulate.
Drink Pepsi.
Well, it's like what you do, like when you're trying to draft a legal, pleading for the court. You're trying to create your own set of. You're trying to say, yeah, here's the facts we all understand, kind of. These like common truths.
Right.
But now I want to recontextualize it, like try to cherry pick certain things and like create my own universe
Right.
to operate in.
Right.
And where it's like, yeah, these things are all problematic.
Right.
But don't actually look at like the cause of it. We're gonna reframe this all so that like it's not gonna be that awful, and the solution is just buy more of our stuff.
Right.
It's very much like Alex Jones.
Exactly.
Because that's his solution a lot of times to fighting the globalists is to tell more people to sign up for InfoWars or buy his pills.
You guys can read the article, but I think there's good stuff, and I'll cut it if it's unnecessary. But what we see in woke advertising is an attempt to strategically deploy images of minoritized groups, people of color, people with disabilities, Muslims, queer people in commercial culture to take diversity into account, only to employ any particular differences of their meaning, only to empty any particular differences of their meaning and social significance. So we're using it and like emptying it, right?
Right.
In this sense, woke advertising is emblematic of post-race, post-feminism, and post-queer discourses. As the authors put it and have argued, this is both a way of responding to activisms and social justice movements around race and class and sexuality and disability, while at the same time it represents an upgrading of global capitalism in neoliberal forms. In this context, there is no outside to neoliberal capitalism, no outside to it.
Exactly. It's the whole universe that they
Yep.
created. There is no thing. There's no solution. There's no possibility outside of
And everything,
neoliberal.
including the self, is brandable and capitalizable.
Yep.
Sounds like the fucking ocean to me.
Your brand. Everyone's got their
The
brand they're
ocean,
working on.
Water.
Well,
We see the incorporation of movements of resistance within woke capitalism and their rearticulation as personal obstacles and injuries that may be overcome through self-motivation, self-belief, and an effective investment of the self. Crucially, the circulation of this corporate messaging relies on the increased visibility of populations that have been historically marginalized, without dismantling the oppressions that such branding glibly references. So I know I'm not reading it that well too, but what it's also saying, it's like what neoliberalism kind of does is like blame all the problems that are going on because of it on
Right.
you.
yeah.
So
they
like
end up-
self-wellness.
You see that with the environmental
you need to
movement
fix yourself
all the time.
You need to
It's-
recycle.
Exactly. Or like, yeah, that you need to turn off, the water while we, horribly mismanage our water and use most of it to grow almonds that we then ship over to China.
Right. So there you have it, Bill. Woke capitalism is the ever-increasing presence everywhere of social justice issues and affected people being used as mascots to sell empowerment so that the status quo can act progressive as they maintain the systems and structures that create suffering. This is me now closing all of that and this. Not only does this obscure the issues and the people being used by that advertising and by woke capitalism, but it also creates opposition to the very existence of social justice issues. Like, it creates opposition. It strengthens the right wing. It makes like this nationalistic populism stronger. The ever-present, not entirely good faith inclusion of all of these kinds of oppressed peoples by woke capitalism amplifies a backlash against the equality and organizing that activists are trying to engage in to help.
Right.
So as we see the slide further and further, as we all slide further and further into the abyss, the reaction of woke capitalism, or to woke capitalism, imagines historically repressed communities and their ever-increasing visibility as the problem. So what I'm saying is, like, one of the reactions we see is that the increasing presence of communities that are
on
oppressed
commercials and
on
stuff.
commercials
Right.
and in Disney movies
Right.
are a problem because we're all suffering we're all losing money. The minimum wage is
Exactly,
affecting all of us. We all can't get housing.
Right.
And I just keep seeing these oppressed people on
Right.
commercials
They're
in Disney
not,
movies.
They're not more disproportionately or like more vulnerable to these things because they have, you know, a fraction of the generational wealth than my white family. That's just all bullshit. I
but-
don't believe it. I hate this fucking woke capitalism.
Yep.
That's their attitude.
Some people just loved Star Wars, went and saw it, and the next thing you know, they're marching with a tiki torch.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's how bad, like, and that's what's crazy about it. It's like, it's nice that there is representation, but the way that it is such a snaky, slithery, right? It's the same old shit.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't do anything to undo the structures that allowed for that. It doesn't do anything to undo, and you know that's why you don't hear Craig, to bring it back to Baywatch.
Right.
You don't hear Craig tell any, you know, what his candidate solutions are or why this is bad. He probably would have had some other neoliberal bullshit to like incentivize more development on the bay. And they wouldn't have done shit because what's the ocean's plan?
Right.
To fucking
to
bring about
hey,
more and
Bill.
more
Coming
fucking
around.
global capitalism. Well, I say this in jest, dude, because we established this at the beginning of the episode. That the ocean, because the ocean did something in here that I thought was, oh, that was the other thing. All these murderers died from like one knife stab in the back. How many people are fatally wounded from a single like small knife in the back?
People very close to the water.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I thought. Well,
Yeah.
the one guy was on a boat. The other guy was like right on the pier. Yeah. I mean, it could have been the ocean deciding, you need to go. Because we need to have this fucking shit keep going. We need this hotel belt. Because we need to bring about capitalism to bring about global warming so that we can reclaim the rest of the land and cover the planet in liquid.
A few more of these podcasts, Bill, and we're going to be on that same ass page together.
I don't know if I can do another one of these podcasts if you don't fucking shower, dude.
Well, then let me ask you one thing. If you can't take me sitting next to you showering, can I ask you one thing? Would you give me a kiss?
No, I'm not going to give you a
Come
kiss.
on, Bill.
Dude,
Bill.
dude, it's already starting to smell worse now.
Come on, Bill.
No. Okay. All right. Oh. All right.
I told you Dave from Louisiana getting